In a perfect world, this is the last video that I need to make. I crossed that off because this one right here was the review that I gave you for May 26th, which was Tuesday. Today should be Thursday the 28th. So this is page 30 of your packet. When solving using factoring and the zero product property, don't forget that the function needs to be set equal to 0. This goes back to the previous lesson where all of these were set equal to 0. Okay? All of those were set equal to 0. So we're going to factor each one of these this time, but prior to factoring, we need to make sure we have 0 on one side of the equation, and we do have that here. So right now what we want to do is recognize that we are factoring x squared minus 11x plus 24 into the product of two binomials. And x times x gives us x squared, and then what we put here has to multiply to give us 24. Now this is a little bit of a pain in the neck because there are a ton of numbers here. 1 times 24, negative 1 times negative 24, 2 times 12, negative 2 times negative 12, because a negative times a negative gives us a positive. 3 times 8, notice how I'm trying to be organized about the way that I write these. And negative 3 times negative 8 gives us 24, and then it could be 4 times 6, and negative 4 times negative 6. Well, we need these to add up. These values need to multiply to give us positive 24, but they need to add up to give us negative 11. So negative 11, which of these two values adds up to give us negative 11? It's that one right there. Negative 3 plus negative 8 equals negative 11. So that means that this is minus 3 minus 8. So we have done the factoring piece, and then using the zero product property, either this equals 0 or this equals 0. So x is either 3 or x is 8. That's the story, Morning Glory. Let's do some more. This one right here, we need to have a 0 on one side. We don't. So we need to subtract 5 from both sides. That gives us n squared plus 7n plus 10 equals 0. Again, that comes from subtracting 5 from both sides. And now we need to factor. So we've got, we know n times n gives us n squared. And then we need to be able to get a positive 10. So how can we multiply two numbers to get a positive 10? We can do 1 times 10, negative 1 times negative 10, 2 times 5, or negative 2 times negative 5. Those all are products that give us positive 10. But we need to have a value plus another value that gives us 7. We need, let's go green here, these to add up to give us 7. And which of these add up to give us 7? 2. 2 plus 5 gives us 7. So plus 2 plus 5. And then we know that this has to be equal to 0, or this has to be equal to 0. So n equals negative 2, or n equals negative 5. If you're not seeing where that's coming from, I'm subtracting 2 from both sides here and subtracting 5 from both sides here. This one right here, we need to get 0 on one side, so we're going to subtract 6. That leaves us with n squared plus 3n minus, let's see, negative 12 minus 6 is negative 18. You're going to be careful with that. Slow down when you're doing your few examples on the next page. Negative 12 minus 6 is negative 18. So now we need to factor this now that we have it set equal to 0, and we know that n times n gives us n squared. And we need two numbers that when you multiply them, they give you negative 12. So what are our options here? They are 1 times negative 1 times 12, 1 times negative 12, negative 2 times 6, 2 times negative 6, negative 3 times 4. No, crap. Excuse me, crud. I need 18. So 1 times 18, negative 1 times 18, 1 times, I was looking at this one. And then we've got negative 2 times 9 and 2 times negative 9. Negative 3 times 6 and 3 times negative 6. Ugh. And now we need to find which of these we add up to get 3. Which of them do we add up to get 3? And it looks to me like it's this one right here. Negative 3 plus 6 gives us 3. So minus 3 plus 6, then minus 3, n minus equals 0, n plus 6 equals 0. So n equals 3, or n equals negative 6. Last but not least, we need to have a 0 on one side. So we're going to add 1. And then we need to factor. What can we multiply to get 1? 1 times 1 gives us 1, or negative 1 times negative 1. We need them to add together to give us negative 2. That would be this. Minus 1, minus 1. So what do we get? W equals, or W, oh, W has to equal 1. There's only one solution in this case. Hey, again, this is free. That means what's happening here, here's 1, is this bad mamma jamma is going to look like this. It's going to come down and touch the x-axis in one spot. Hey, nicely done.